Good morning, everyone. Sam Walker, SamWalkerOBXNews.com. Glad to have you with us on this Tuesday morning. Going to be a quick update on our weather situation as this powerful cold front complex weather system that pretty much is, as you can see here on the radar, covering the entire eastern half of the United States. We've got tornado warnings active this morning down along the Panhandle and into Alabama and parts of Georgia. And it's going to be a rough ride for the next 24 hours for everyone, especially here in northeastern North Carolina and the Outer Banks. This is a look at the local radar. You can see some heavier rain up north of Raleigh right now, seeing some light showers in our neck of the woods so far. It looks like the rain's not going to be a major issue with this. Still going to get about an inch to an inch and a half out here, but it's going to be the winds. That is the big concern out of this system. And let's show you. Here's what the peak wind gust of the National Weather Service from Newport shows. Wind gusts, yes, as high as 70 to 72 miles an hour. Yes, hurricane force winds possible. Gusts down on Hatteras and Ocracoke Islands. As you get farther inland, is still pretty high, in the 60s and the 50s, all the way in towards Greenville. Taking a look at areas north of the Albemarle Sound, it's going to be in the 50s with some areas right along the coast in the 60-mile-an-hour range from the wind gusts. Now, these peak wind gusts aren't from the sustained winds. We're still going to be in the sustained winds of 35 to 40 miles an hour. It's the peak gusts that may come with these showers and thunderstorms, these heavy thunderstorms. We showed you on the radar earlier, that big line of thunderstorms down in Alabama and Georgia. That's going to be headed our way tonight and early tomorrow morning. So the wind gusts are going to be the highest with those strong to severe thunderstorms that are going to be coming in tonight. Coastal flooding threat, obviously, with this sustained winds out of the south of 30 to 40 miles an hour. Here's where we're seeing the threat. It is an oceanside event, and the shots you're seeing in the background there is a good one to watch. That's at surfchecks.com. That's the Durant Station condos in Hatteras, the view from there. That's one we'll keep an eye on throughout the day. Of course, once it gets dark, there's not a lot of light there. There's a couple other pier cameras, one at Avon Pier that we can watch. But really, this is the one to watch because of the oceanside situation we're going to be dealing with because of the south winds. But we go back to our coastal flooding threat for the Newport Moorhead City forecast area. And for the Outer Banks, you can see it's going to be an oceanside event. We have a high surf advisory, coastal flood warning in effect, 2 to 4 foot water level rises above ground for those areas that are prone to flooding from south winds on the sound side. So that's the western shore of the Pamlico Sound on up to Manteo, really on the mainland side from the south wind. On the ocean side, again, 2 to 4 feet possible, especially those vulnerable spots of Highway 12 between Frisco and Hatteras, and also on the north end of Ocracoke Island. Those are going to be problems. We could see some ocean overwash with high tide up on the northern beaches and the east-facing beaches. The real threat, though, comes when the winds shift back to the west, and that's for the areas such as Manteo. That could see some of those water level rises of 2 to 4 feet. Bay Drive, Collington Road, Pea Island, the Tri-Villages. Those are the problem spots, the typical problem spots. That's what we're talking about here. You go farther north, the south wind. That's the wrong map there. Sorry about that. Let's see. We should have our south. Yeah, we got the wrong map there. Let's load that up for you real quick. Give me a second here because we want to talk about the problems that are potential for the areas north of the Albemarle Sound. So that's the Currituck Sound, the North River, Pasquotank River, Little River, on over to the Yopum River, the Chowan River, and also up the Chowan River, and then on up into the North Landing River, the Northwest River, Tulls Bay, Tulls Creek. Those areas that normally flood from a hard south blow, you're going to see water level rises of 1 to 2 feet, maybe even as high as 3 feet, and some isolated spots 4 feet above ground. That's the forecast right now. Got to keep an eye on that. That's what the south winds are going to see that are going to be ramping up throughout the day. One thing is this isn't a hugely long event, and this isn't going to be a situation where it's that big slosh for everyone. One thing that that we always get concerned about is you get that rapid shift in the wind direction. and it goes one direction for a hard blow and then rapidly shifts back and blows at the same speed. We're not going to quite see that. Once the winds shift to the west, they're going to be a little less than as hard as they're going to blow out of the south. That's going to help things immensely. One thing to keep an eye on with the coastal flood threat that we do have a way to keep up with what's going on there. We'll give you this shot here real quick of what the view is. And there's downtown Manio. That's the other camera we'll keep an eye on. All right, this is the Feynman system. I've kind of widened it out to show you the radar again. But we go down here. As you zoom down, these are the Feynman Flood Inundation Mapping and Alert Network. This is a very good map to keep an eye on because it has all these different flood gauges along our coastal waters that you can take a look and see the gauge data and kind of get a live look at what's happening flooding wise. This is downtown Elizabeth City. You can see it's down in the normal range. That'll be one to watch as the day goes on for the flooding from the south winds. Kind of same thing up here's one at Bell's Island to keep an eye on things there. There's so many of these different ones that we'll be keeping an eye on. There's a link to this at samwalkerobxnews.com. In our weather story, we're going to be updating that story throughout the day with the latest data. Here's the one up on Moorshore Road, right at the head of Kitty Hawk Bay. That's a good spot if you want to keep an eye on what's going on flooding-wise. Although that gauge hasn't been showing a lot of data recently. Let me get down here into Collington. Here's the one at Collington Creek Inn. That one we'll be keeping an eye on too. So, and I'll give you one more on down south to keep an eye on for the folks in Hatteras. Well, actually in Rodanthe. Here's the Rodanthe Ferry Terminal. You've got one there. It's a little more tidal for that one and less wind-driven. But those are just some of the areas that we'll be keeping an eye on throughout the day and this evening over in Stumpy Point, up at Oregon Inlet, the one in downtown Manio. So we've got a great this is a great website, Feynman, FIMAN.nc.gov, that'll help you keep an eye on what's going on with this coastal flood threat. Back to the severe weather. We do have the possibility of isolated tornadoes. We've already, as we said, seen these down the Gulf Coast this morning, and that tornado threat's going to continue. It's really south of the Albemarle Sound is the greatest threat from the damaging winds and possible tornadoes, but areas north of the Albemarle Sound do have a risk as well, but the higher risk is down south, it looks like right now. That will evolve as the front gets closer to us and the bulk of the heaviest weather gets closer to us this afternoon, this evening, and tonight. Rain-wise, this is what we're looking at. Really, interior sections of North Carolina are probably going to get the highest amounts of rain. We could see some isolated spots of 1.5 inches to 2 inches here on the coast, but it really looks like it's going to be more of an inland rain event, and then on up into Virginia and the mid-Atlantic. They're looking at 2, 3, maybe even 4 inches of rain. A lot more rainfall out there. We're really more concerned about what the wind threat is here in eastern North Carolina and the Outer Banks and into coastal Virginia as well. So that's the latest as of this morning. National Weather Service does have a briefing that'll be coming out midday that we'll get some more information. But it looks like everything's going to be kind of just tweaking more than anything else. So what to expect? High winds starting this evening and tonight into the early morning hours. Starting from the south, could see wind gusts as high as 70 miles an hour on Hatteras Island, 60 miles an hour for some of the inland spots, and 50 miles an hour as the farther inland you go here in eastern North Carolina tonight and into tomorrow. Severe thunderstorms are possible with some possible isolated tornadoes, damaging winds, definitely those highest wind gusts expected in those thunderstorms. Coastal flood threat, 2 to 4 feet above ground on the ocean side for south of Buxton down to Ocracoke. Sound side, anywhere from 1 to 4 feet of coast of flooding in those areas that are prone to the south winds. Then when the winds shift to the west overnight, we could see that same coastal flood threat along those areas that normally flood when the wind blows out hard out of the west. So biggest thing we can stress to you is have a device that can alert you to warnings in the overnight hours. Because this is a nighttime event, that changes things. Make sure you've got multiple ways to get warnings. Make sure you've got those notifications turned on your phone. Just got one there from somebody about something. And we will keep you up to date here at samwalkerobxnews.com and across all our social media platforms at samwalkerobx. Of course, I want to thank our founders, those of you who've already signed up, help support us being able to do these things like these videos. And we're going to be doing these videos throughout the day, but we would ask for your support to help us be able to bring you the news that's as unique as the Outer Banks itself at samwalkerobxnews.com. We'll be back with you throughout the day here, so stay tuned and stay safe.